Okay, I'm Dr. Tobin Hartnell. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you could spend a few minutes to watch this movie. It'll take about 5 minutes, and you'll learn a lot about traveling to Italy, one of my favorite countries in the world. This is where I grew up. I grew up in Sydney, Australia. It's a beautiful spot, and I loved it there. I lived there about 20 years before moving to Chicago, and I really had a good time. My wife, she loved it there. This was my dog. We now have a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old loved it, loves the kangaroos. Now we're in Chicago, so she misses the kangaroos, wants to go home. My wife and I are both archaeologists. Here I am excavating an ancient wall from one of the great civilizations of the Old World. With my team, you can see some of the blocks have spilled into the river. My wife, she was looking for traces of an ancient city here. We found traces of hundreds of towns and cities and villages from 2,000 to 6,000 years ago. So over the last 3 decades, I've traveled to some of the most exotic places in the world, including places like the remote cities of the Silk Road, Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva. Many of you know the names, but some of you don't appreciate that the Silk Road extends right into the heart of Europe, and that Armenia's Silk Road includes something incredible that people often don't get to see. I recommend it. Some of the most incredible experiences are in places that are isolated, off the tourist track, places that other people don't go to. For example, like the European monasteries. People forget that the monastic system was the core of European civilization for over 500 years, and incredibly interesting places to see. These are the places that create meaning, that give value to looking into another civilization, another culture. And at each time we should be trying to do things that create meaning, that connect us to the past, that help us understand the past. Tourism should be fun, and it should be a learning experience, one that's hands-on, creating memories. At the same time, those memories are a way to create friends. I've met hundreds of friends, thousands of people all over the world. A good example would be to enjoy the first fruits of spring, together with some newfound friends, or enjoying a glass of wine from one of the local boutique wineries, a new discovery of some other taste you've never had before. For example, cognac from the mountains of Armenia, or a delicious Italian Pinot Grigio. Now, I spent almost 2 decades working as an archaeologist, including one at the University of Chicago, to get my PhD. So what does that mean for you? Why does that help you? How does that help you? Well, in this world where everything's becoming complicated, when it should be becoming easier, I believe that everyone needs a guru. Everyone needs someone to help. Everyone needs some good advice. These days, many people are substituting computers and online websites for human interaction and human advice. The problem is when they have questions. What do I do about points? What do I do about blackout dates? How do I get a business class upgrade? Do I need a vaccine? Can I get a visa? How do I get a visa? Why did I plan my trip so I'm constantly moving and never seeing things, constantly changing hotels? And when you do have a problem, the computer tells you to go solve it yourself. What's the point in that? You might spend hours, days, weeks, even months planning a trip. It might cause you a lot of stress reading one book, 10 books, websites, podcasts, videocasts. Everything is getting so complicated when what you really probably need is a guru, someone you can trust. Someone who knows what to see and knows how to show you. That's what we do at Cultural Cache. We're gurus. We've traveled the world. We can write our own guidebooks. We in fact write books every day. I've traveled to over 50 countries since I'm 3 months old. I've been and I've seen it all. At the first glance, I had the same problems everyone had. I had the same challenges. But I learned. I started living in these countries. I started making mistakes and learning from my mistakes. I teach people about other cultures. I teach them the little things about how to make a trip great. So I started to put together trips for my family, my friends, then my colleagues, and even my university museum. I started to share with people about my love of other cultures, other countries. And then eventually, I became a guru. Wouldn't you like to meet a guru overseas? Someone who lives and works? Here's an example of a testimonial. John said that he loved going on the trip because it was one of the most meaningful of his life. And Alan said he's been on 3 private tours and would love to go on another one because he knows that you should travel with someone who knows their stuff. My guru is someone who spent a lifetime studying the people of ancient Rome and Pompeii, who knows the stories of the ancient civilization. She was my first ever archaeology professor and remains a long-term friend. She's an internationally renowned forensic anthropologist and published author. She worked to create unique experiences just for this tour. Dr. Estelle Lazer, the author of Resurrecting Pompeii. Together, she and I put together a special 10-day trip that covers the best archaeology and history of ancient Rome and Pompeii. You can see on the map now, Rome, the Eternal City, Pompeii, these fantastic ruins. When you step off the plane, you're already going to start discovering the best of ancient Rome, such as the Forum and the Colosseum. And then you're going to spend one relaxing week at the seaside town of Sorrento, which will be your base to discover the best of ancient Italy. Here's ancient Sorrento, isn't it beautiful? Now imagine that. You've got a whole week just to discover the best of ancient Greco-Roman culture, just to discover the Roman frescoes of Pompeii, just to discover the Villa of Mysteries. What was that about? Why is that so special? To discover the stories of the last hours of the tragic victims of Pompeii. So how much are trips like this worth? How much for a memory? How much for a lifetime memory? Something special. It could easily cost over $10,000. So today I'm offering it a trip of the lifetime for just $3,950. A trip of the lifetime custom designed for you. But there's a catch. Unfortunately, this price, it can't include the airfare. It includes almost everything else. Literally. You can start your trip from any city in the United States. And if you have a passport with at least 6 months validity, they'll give you a visa on arrival. Please check with us to make sure you qualify. As a special gift, I'll make you a free guidebook so that your experiences are clear and memorable. And if you refer a friend, then I'll give you a futuristic light show camera where every item is in focus. So who would you like to share these memories with? Who would you like to travel to Italy with? Especially with Dr. Estelle Lazer, the internationally renowned archaeologist. Italy is waiting. It's a trip of a lifetime. So why don't you buy now and start to make memories that can last a lifetime?